Recall. No, I'm not talking about that awesome Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, which you should totally see. I'm talking about recall in regards to education. So, what is recall and why is it difficult for SPED students? Well, that's what we're going to look at today. Today's lesson, recall. Now, before we can get into understanding why it's difficult for students with learning disabilities to be able to recall, we need to first understand what recall is. Well, recall in psychology is the act of retrieving information or events from the past while linking a specific cue to help in retrieving the information. Recall in education is the cognitive process by which we access information previously encoded and stored in memory. It's what allows us to answer a question without checking our notes, recognize a face in a crowd, or bring a childhood birthday back into focus. Recall is not recognition. Unlike recognition, which only asks us to identify familiar information, recall requires more effort. So think of it this way. Recognition is being able to recognize a scary movie. Recall is being able to recall important information or specific information about a scary movie. So even though recognition is important, it's not as thorough as recall. So why is recall difficult for special ed students? Well, there are a couple of reasons. The first has to do with working memory. The student may have less space in working memory for organizing and integrating new skills or knowledge. This affects their ability to follow directions, organize thoughts for speaking and writing, learn multi-step procedures, or to process information quickly. The other is long-term memory. Long-term memory problems affect how information is recalled, time it takes to recall the information, or to remember things in the correct order or sequence. The student is disorganized, confused, or disoriented when presented with a series of directions or steps in learning new material. He or she may confuse the order of syllables in a word or phrase. Another way to think of it is when you store information in your brain, it's basically like putting it into a file and then putting that into a file cabinet. Now, for those individuals that have long-term memory problems, what happens is that they will put it into a file, but instead of just putting it into a specific file cabinet, they put it into a random one. And then when they're asked to recall the information, they can't remember which one they put it in. So they have to go through all the file cabinets, find the correct one, find the right file, and once they have it, then they're able to produce the information. This can take a while. So that's why some students with learning disabilities really struggle with recall. It's not that they don't know the information, it's because they've misplaced it somewhere in their brain. So it's going to take them a little bit longer to retrieve that information. So, what are some strategies for helping build recall? Well, for one, you can break things, assignments, tasks into smaller chunks. The less steps and the smaller they are, the more that they can recall. Another way is provide visual graphic organizers, help alleviate confusion and remove the barrier of having to recall information they may have forgotten. And then also establish routines. By establishing routines, you're providing structure and repetition, which can help reinforce and strengthen recall. So the next time you ask a student for an answer to a question and it takes them a while, it may not be because they weren't paying attention. It may be because they're trying to find that right file in that right file cabinet that they lost. Because again, sometimes recall is difficult, and for some people, it's extremely difficult. So give grace and be patient. Now, if you liked what you saw, you learned something new, or you're new to the channel, please click that like button. And if you want updates on future videos, feel free to click the subscribe button and ring the bell for updates on future videos. And as always, if you have questions or comments, or there's some particular topic in special ed that you want me to cover, by all means, drop a line in the comments section and I'd be happy to talk about it. And until next time, class dismissed.